Is there a dream project or an actor that you really want to work with? Something like that?
John Wayne.
Gotcha. Dream project.
I wanted to do this science fiction novel called The Star Is My Destination by Alfred Bester. Parts of it are unfilmable, I think, but I would have loved to have done that.
You said no. You said that kind of in a past tense. Do you think you're pretty much done?
Well, first of all, it would cost. It's a huge, gigantic space opera. I just think the budget would be prohibitive at this time in my career.
Okay. That's possibly yes.
Sir, with the influx of horror movies today, is there one that you can see that you would say, man, I wish I could have gotten my hands on that script, or I wish I could have had the chance to direct that film?
Not in that sense, but I think there are a lot of good ones made. There was a movie a few years ago, what was it, Let the Right One In?
Yeah.
Very good. I thought that was good.
Now, let me ask you a question about that, because of how in America there's a lot of remakes from horror films. Do you think that it needed to be remade?
No. They're remaking The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. Have you guys seen that movie?
Yeah.
Those three movies are fabulous. They don't need the remaking. The leading actress is unbelievable. Why are they remaking it?
Yes, sir.
Yep. Not involved at all. I got a lunch. The producer took me to lunch. It was pretty good. They're doing the story of the Norwegian camp, something that happened in my movie before we come upon our characters. It could be great.
I have a good question.
No. We're done. The guy in the back is what I was talking to.
So I was just going to say, the remaking, or I don't know if it's a remake, but they're making a thing again. What's your opinion on that?
I just said, they're doing the prequel.
Okay.
And they're doing the Norwegian camp sequence. You remember the Rid My Thing? They had the Norwegian camp. Okay, they're showing you what happened there. That's what they're doing. I have no idea whether it's good. I don't know. I hope it's great.
The gentleman with the gray shirt was below.
Yeah, just more about the remakes. Is there a remake of one of your films that you actually find tolerable?
Strangely enough, I like the remake of Assault on Precinct 13. I thought that was pretty good. That was all right.
Is there anything that's in your library of films that you really don't want touched, that you would like them to be?
No, and as a matter of fact, if I own the rights or have written the character, I prefer you to remake it because I'll get a check.
That is as honest as you can get. So who has a question? Raise your hand. Yes, sir.
Question, with Christine, what was the idea in making that movie? And what inspired you to make that movie?
I needed a job. The thing came out in 1982, and it was hated by fans and critics. Hated. And I lost a job because of it. So I was unemployed. And the first thing that came along was Christine. And I remember reading it and thinking, oh my God, it's a haunted car movie. What am I going to do with this? However, they're going to pay me, so I needed a job, frankly. That's what it was.
Next question. Yes.
How's it working with James Woods on vampires?
Yeah, challenging. He's a great actor, and he's a brilliant ad-libber, and he steals more scenes than any human in history. And he's very fast, very smart, so he comes up with ad-libs constantly. And it's a challenging in that sense to get him to stick with the script, not have him, hurt or damage the egos of his co-stars. And we had a little moment where his personal life came into our shoot, and that was not pleasant. to finish the film. So in summation, I really enjoyed working with him. Yes.
How about working with Kurt Russell?
Well, I've done it 5 times. I must like him.
Any good stories?
He's my kind of actor. He was raised in the Disney School of Acting, and in that particular era, when he was a kid actor, the script supervisor would cut the take if you didn't say the lines in the script exactly, perfectly correct. So it was a very controlled system, and he was an actor who comes prepared, and he always comes to play something. He has an enormous instinct, and so I just love working with him.
Yes.
Talk about discovering and working with Jamie Curtis.
Jamie Lee was a contract player at Universal at the time. She was doing a TV series over there. That's right. Very good. And it was Deborah Hill's idea. Because she was Janet Leigh's daughter, let's bring her in and let's read her. And I wanted somebody else. A lot of people that I wanted for that movie turned me down. And I wanted Christopher Lee or Peter Cushing to play the psychiatrist. They both turned me down. I wanted another actress, and I can't remember her name now, and she turned me down. But I read Jamie Lee, and she had a real quality to her. She had a real spark. And she really wanted to do it, and I knew she'd work really hard. So off we went. Yes?
Do you have any entertaining Keith David stories?
Not a one. No, he's a wonderful guy. Wonderful guy. No entertaining stories.
I'll ask you a question about They Live. So you have Piper, and you have a fight scene that's in the alleyway, and how much of that was choreographed by Piper? Because there was a lot of wrestling moves in there that.
Well, Jack Amata was the stunt coordinator on that movie. He's a sort of legendary Hollywood stunt coordinator. And he and Roddy and Keith worked for about a month and a half on the fight, on pads in my backyard. And it was a real collaborative effort. Keith was not a fighter. Never fought before. So it's like taking his strengths and his abilities and marrying them with Roddy's, and Jeff adding certain things to it.
What made you choose Roddy Piper?
I thought he was a perfect blue-collar working man. I didn't want a leading man Hollywood guy. I wanted somebody who had life on his face. So I met Roddy, and he was going to work really hard on the movie. I knew that. So that sold me on it.
Yes.
A lot of times people who are artists, directors, whatever, we always tend to be our own worst critics with what we do. So your moves, is there one that you found yourself that you were most critical about after it was released?
Well, there's been so many of them, man. I never like anything I've done. I can't watch it anymore because I see everything wrong with it. I see everything I did wrong. So why did I shoot it from that angle? What's wrong with me? Why did I do that whole sequence that way? Why did I fuck up so bad? So I realized after a while, I gotta stop looking at these. I gotta stop.
So you don't have a movie that you would like that you really would look at the most that I would like to just review that one on YouTube?
All of them.
All of them. You don't need
It's crazy. Yes.
With all the soundtrack composed in all your films, which one would you say that you like the most?
Big Trouble in Little China.
That's not going to ask the question yet. Let's try. Yes, the white shirt.
How did Body Bags come about? And was there ever plans to turn that into a series?
There were. It was a Showtime situation. We got a script. They wanted to do it. They obviously wanted a TV series on it. But they also wanted to, after we did the pilot, what you saw, they wanted to do it in Canada very, very cheaply, which would have just sort of ruined the production value of it. So I said no.
Anyone else who hasn't asked one? Yes.
A lot of books on film talk about rivalry between directors, especially in the 1970s.
terms of horror directors, I'm friends with most of these bums. You know, we had a little informal group. We get together for dinner called Masters of Horror. It was started by Mick Garris. We go to restaurants in Los Angeles and sit down and insult each other, tell dirty jokes, have dinner. And Mick got this idea, let me turn this thing into a TV series. So he sold it to Showtime. So we all did it, but not really. I don't feel a great rivalry. I think that what I do is different from anybody else.
Yes.
John, you mentioned that you went to USC Film School. What do you think about, especially in the early to late 70s, you had so many directors coming in. Yourself, Lucas, Coppola, and all. What do you think? What did they do over there? All of a sudden, for this collection of great all-time directors almost.
Well, I think it was also the times, because I remember reading an article about the fact that there was such a thing as a film school. So for the first time, a lot of us became aware, well, you could actually study. You could go to college for movie directing. Wow, what a great idea. And I don't think that had been in the culture. I don't think people had thought of that before. And SC was known at the time for being the best. If you wanted to be a Hollywood director, in other words, if you wanted to work inside the movie business, UCLA was more of an experimental school, but USC had these ties to Hollywood, and it was an amazing time. We still had some of my guest lecturers at SC were the masters. Hitchcock, Orson Welles, Howard Hawks, John Ford. They all came down and spoke to us. And what a time that was. And then we had Roman Polanski, and Michelangelo Antonioni, and then the newer wave of people coming in. And it was a time of a real change in film and society. So it was a great place to be. I think it's all changed now. I don't really know. I've been out of touch with it.
Someone from the back, yes.
From where did you get the idea of Michael Myers?
From where?
Right.
Oh, Jesus, man, I don't remember. The distributor of that movie said to me, I want to do a movie about babysitters and this killer that stalks them. And I needed a job and I wanted to direct, so I said yes. I invented the Spaceless Guy, and I named him after the British distributor of Assault on Precinct 13, Michael Myers, the sweetest man on earth.
Not after the comedian. Someone else in the back on the side? Yes, in the back.
Yes, I'm a huge fan of the Escape from New York and Escape from LA movie. Also, I apologize if I the video game question as well. I'm a huge fan of those college as well. I was wondering, have you spoken in regards to video movement in regards to state character from Escape from New York and like Edison and have kept in touch with them in regards to like the Full House's character and or like a thank you in regards to their character?
I'm sorry, I'm missing some of your question.
I think it was, you're asking about the video game, is that what you're asking about?
Yeah.
All right, so about the Snake Plissken character in the video game.
What video game?
There's a video game?
Wow.
I'm trying to hear too.
I didn't know about it.
Wait,
Do you know about the video game? Who's making it, and will they pay me money? I don't know anything about it, man. I really don't. Okay.
Yeah. No, you, go ahead. Yeah.
Another escape question. Journey from LA and Escape from LA was just right on the money. I love that. Do you have any passion or any commitment to maybe do an Escape from Cleveland and bring it back?
Well, you know what? Right now, a very big-time producer is trying to remake Escape from New York.
No way. No way.
And they have a script, and the main character, the snake character, is completely different. Completely different. Now, not bad. I'm not saying it's bad. It's just different. And they're going to want a young guy, you know. They're going to want some young, hot guy. And and get a hot young director. And listen, if you're going to get fucked, get paid for it.
John, after composing for your all your films and doing the scores, how come with the thing the Oscars go with Morricone?
Somebody like to work with Ennio Morricone, first of all, and second of all, the studio wouldn't let me. I was unproven at the time.